Yes, Virginia. Tony Bennett is finally going to play faster. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. I got to put a caveat in there. We're being told this, and we'll see, right? But what you thought you saw in the Blue-White Scrimmage on Saturday, a more up-tempo UVA basketball team, is what I'd been told several weeks ago will be what we're going to see from this new look Who's roster this year. I was really just waiting for an excuse to write about it, opportunity to write about it. When I first got the word, it was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was afraid that I might give away who told me if I wrote about it just kind of randomly before basketball season sort of got underway and we could see it. Which is why I say the smoke signals from above UVA the past several weeks have had it that Tony Bennett has given his assistant coach Ron Sanchez the reins with the offensive side of the floor, which, as I'll explain a little later, impacts really everything. The goal is to try to get more punch out of a really good roster as far as offense is concerned. For the transfers that came in, point guard Day Ames, combo guard Jalen Worley, power forwards TJ Power and Elijah Saunders, and then some freshmen, redshirt freshman Christian Bliss, and then the two true freshmen, Jacob Kofi and Ishan Sharma, are all in the mix to get big minutes this season. It's possible that Isaac McNeely will be the only returning guy in the starting lineup. Blake Buchanan might end up being there as well, but if the emphasis is going to be on offense, it would not surprise me to see actually Power and Saunders in the 4 and 5 spots as starters, and then Buchanan off the bench. Uh, so we're less than a month away. As I'm recording this, is October 7th. Opening game is November 6th, a Wednesday night with Campbell and JPJ. Um, Here's what I think we'll see. McNeely is back, obviously 12.3 points a game, 44.5% from three. I look at him to start at the third guard spot. Saunders at 6'8", 240. He's a junior. He's a big boy. Very similar in size and build to Jordan Minor, the center who played a lot last year as the second half of the season wore on, who was 6'8", 242 officially. But Minor was very limited offensively, whereas Saunders is a 96% foul shooter, 32.2% from three, but that 96% stroke from the foul line suggests to you that get him some more looks out there. And I think he's going to be a 40% plus guy this year for this UVA team. And then there's Power. Now we don't have a lot of numbers from Power from last year. He did play limited minutes as a freshman at Duke. He was a 5-star recruit, came in, just didn't get in the mix. And EYBL ball in 2022 before he went to Duke, 23.7 points a game and 42% from three. So another guy, 6'9" guy, 6'9" guy, 6'8" guy shooting threes. They can shoot over top of the defense. They're a depth in the perimeter, give them some looks on pick and pops. And then Saunders as a thicker guy at 240. And I say thicker, just like Minor. It's not Junior Burrow 6'8", 240. It's a very it's almost like a life defensive end 6'8", 240. Very, very powerfully packed young man. Day Ames, 5.2 points a game, 2.0 assists a game, and 20.5 minutes per game at Kansas State last year. 32.9% from three. He's a go-go 6'1" point guard. And then the other option at point guard is Jalen Worley, the Florida State transfer. 7.5 points a game, 2.8 assists a game, 42.4% from the field, but only a 14% three-point shooter. Did not shoot a lot of threes at Florida State in his 3 years there. But he's 6'7", big and rangy for a point guard, and that's the position. I'm calling him a combo guard, but I think he's going to end up being the second starter. Like Tony Bennett has liked in recent years, dating back to the 2018-2019 title team, he's liked playing a two-point guard on the floor for long stretches together. Think back the 2018-2019 title team. It was Ty Jerome at 6'5" and Kie Clark at 5'9" ish. And ever since then, really, it's been two point guards on the floor ever since for Tony Bennett. This year, that's why I think it's going to be Ames and Worley out there together an awful lot together on the floor. And so that would also just increase the size of this lineup on the floor for the most part. Isan Sharma is a 6'4" shooter. That's what he is, as a shooter. He's another McNeely type. And I'm complimenting there. A guy who can pull the trigger. He was a 40+% guy from three in prep ball. And then Kofi at 6'9", 225. He's already a big young man. Wait till he gets in the weight room. He's been there, I guess, since the summer with Mike Curtis, the renowned strength and conditioning coach at UVA with UVA basketball. So he's already 6'9", 225. His game in high school and on the prep circuit, the summer ball circuit, was as a guy who uses his power to get baskets. He was a 2010 guy in high school. He's got a jump shot out to 15 to 17 feet. So he can be at least someone to have to account for the pick and pop, not the 3-point range yet, but as a guy in the mid range. Um, Kind of reminiscent of Jaden Gardner from a couple years ago, perhaps in that sense, but 3 inches taller. Uh, so I say all this. That's the breakdown. There's more offensive weaponry with this lineup than there's been in recent years at UVA, probably dating back. I mean, dating back at least to the Sam Hauser, Jay Huff, Trey Murphy, the third group that unfortunately had that the second COVID season, had the issues with COVID that's why we lost that NCAA tournament game. They were quarantined for a week and got off the bus and started playing basketball in the NCAA tournament. It's going to be hard to win a game like that. But that group had a pretty good offensive unit. That was a team that won the ACC regular season, if you recall, with guys who were playing in the NBA. Um, and this group's got, to me, a similar firepower. I mean, it really does. Whereas last year, a lot of time on the floor because Tony did not have quite the same uh, you know, offensive weaponry. I'll keep using that term. You often had a lineup on the floor that really you only had two options, Reese Beekman and Isaac McNeely, which makes things easy for opponents. If you're running an offense that emphasizes flow, the continuity flow mover blocker that Tony likes to use, and guys are running, you're setting screens, guys are running off screens to create the offense. You overplay the screen. You don't worry about Jordan Miner off the pick and pop. He's not going to do anything. Jake Groves was a guy that could put 15 points up on the board for you. He could also do nothing for you. He did that. He did both, but he did more of them doing nothing for you than he did the 15 points. And so last year, Virginia was playing it with one hand behind its back. Ryan Dunn, the first round pick, hit two threes last night. As I'm talking, as I record this on Monday, he hit two threes in a exhibition game last night, preseason game for the Phoenix Suns. That's yeah. I don't remember that he hit two threes for us last year total. He probably did, but don't remember him. Uh, so yeah, you were limited last year, right? This year's group, I don't think is going to be anything like that. And it seems conducive. The skill sets these guys bring, it seems conducive. They can win with a little bit more tempo. Now, keep in mind, pushing the tempo is not going to just change the way the offense works. I mean, I'll give you some stats here. UVA was once again last season dead last in tempo in Division One basketball, 362nd out of 362 teams, 60.1 possessions per game, 1.5 fewer possessions per game than the 361st ranked team. We were not just slow; we were way slow compared to other slow teams last year. Um, the approach to offense is part of the approach to defense in the Tony Bennett era. That's the system works by, I call it like he's coaching a hockey team as much as he's coaching a basketball team. When you think of, hockey coaches, defensive minded hockey coaches in the neutral zone trap, the way Tony plays offense is floor balance is so key. You have two guards back when the ball goes to the basket. You only send in most situations, you only send one guy to offensive rebound. You got four guys, two guys maybe in the mid range, mid court, and then two guys who are already back deep. You prevent transition opportunities that way. You prevent the other side from getting easy baskets, but also you limit your ability to get offensive rebounds, stick back points. The Virginia was 352nd in the country last year in length of offensive possession. We were the 11th slowest team in terms of offensive possessions last year, and the amount of time we used on them. So you're making teams work against the shot clock, but you're also telling your guys, the way to get there is to not take a lot of early shots. And so it's kind of like in baseball. Sometimes the best pitch you see is the first pitch or second pitch of the at bat, the one down the middle that you take, and then you end up swinging and missing on a slider out of the zone. I mean, there were a lot of times last year. Obviously, we've seen this in recent years where the UVA offense, because of the desire by Tony Bennett to work the clock on offense, that shots are thrown up in the last few seconds of a shot clock that aren't as good as you would have had early in the shot clock. It's just but it all goes part and parcel to how the game is played. It's a control thing. It's we're going to limit the number of possessions, limit the number of points, and we think that that gives us a better chance to win. Um, and so, it's worked. You can't say that worked. Even last year's team that struggled at the end got in the NCAA tournament. Lots of ACC championship banners hanging up in JPJ, a couple ACC tournament championship banners hanging up in JPJ, a national championship banner hanging up in JPJ by playing this way. So the fans I know, I mean, I get this all the time, and I love fielding the questions, getting the comments, the back and forths on email with so many folks, people I get to see at the games in JPJ during the year. Chris, when are they going to finally play faster? That's always the question. I think this is something. I mean, what I've been told, Sanchez, running more of the offense in practice, the crispness that folks are seeing out of that is not going to be something that they then put back under the hood. You're going to see more transition. I'm not saying you're going to see Gonzaga pace. You're not going to see Loyola Marymount from the early 90s pace, but you're going to see more fast breaks, which is to say some fast breaks. Last year, Virginia averaged it was 7.8% of possessions were used in transition. That was fourth lowest in the country in terms of the number of possessions, percentage of possessions used in transition. You're going to see more fast breaks and more secondary breaks. You're going to see more quick hitters in the half court game to get guys open early in shot clocks so that there are fewer times when you're throwing up a desperation shot in the last 5 seconds. You're going to see more of this. Now, here's the question. You've probably been noticing in my voice hedging on this. Here's why I'm just going to hedge. The question going into the season will be, I'm reading what I wrote at the end of the column I wrote on this topic. The question going into the season will be, how long will it take for Tony Bennett to get comfortable with letting loose on the control the pace of the game that has been the hallmark of the style of basketball that he inherited from his father, Dick Bennett, and has, and this needs to be emphasized, been successful for both guys. So let's just say that authentically, Tony Bennett says, yes, we are going to speed things up. Ron, I want you, I've assigned you this role all spring, all summer, into the fall. You're going to study this. You're going to work with the kids on it. You're going to get them to work this way. And then let's just say one of those early season games, Villanova, one of the games in the Bahamas against the quality opponent there, the ACC, SEC tournament challenge game, the Memphis game in December. One of those games, there's a lot of quick shots, there's a lot of fast breaks and blown layups, and they get run out of the gym. Does Tony then say, I know how to coach a team that can minimize those opportunities going the wrong way? Let's go back to the way we used to play because that's the way I know. That's the question. After they're authentically going to go in. They're going to go in and want to play a little faster. Do they stay there? That's the question I've got. So anyway, hey, if you've got any questions for me, if you've got any comments, you want to engage in a back and forth, most fans who do have good experiences. The only ones who don't are the ones who accuse me of some sort of espionage or sabotage or hatred of UVA athletics for some reason. But even those folks, I answer back. In any case, if you want to engage, please feel free to email me at chris@augustafreepress.com.